What a weird way to begin the podcast. The whole
Wow, holy
images.
shit! What happened with the?
I don't know. I don't know. That was weird.
I thought
that
we
was
were
weird.
supposed to have music up. What the fuck happened?
You didn't hear the music?
No, I heard no music.
You didn't see the whole intro?
I just saw the countdown.
You didn't hear music with that?
No.
What?
No, I thought we were supposed to hear jams, bro.
Oh, it does. It does. I heard it on YouTube.
It plays it outside?
Yeah, I heard it on YouTube.
Maybe I
mean, I could put music on the background lightly. But we have the intro thing did have music and whatnot.
I wanted to come in banging in my head. I'm skull dome today.
You can, and you're also at Sober October, so
Sober October, no hat Ryan, man. I'm
for you,
like a
not
new
for
guy
me,
for
not for me. I'm gonna
you.
do a dab right now. It's not Sober October for me. You can that shit can kiss my ass.
I'm gonna hold my breath and spin in my seat.
Why?
And then, so I could be there with you.
Oh.
Like how you used to get high when you were a kid.
I didn't get high when I was a kid.
I'm just saying, you never did the spins, hold your breath and do the spins?
I don't remember. I was too busy getting high.
When you were 5 years old?
Oh, man. No, probably not. I'm getting yelled at for being too loud, and I'm getting threatened with a knife.
Oh, shit. We're going to see murder live stream. Speaking about murder live stream, bro, that seems to be like a fucking trend nowadays. There's another serial killer. Did you hear about that?
No, there's not a serial killer. Is that the one in California that's only killing Spanish people?
Not the gun killer. There's a guy who's killing women in
first,
Seattle.
hold on. We'll get to this, the womanizer killer or whatever his nickname could be. My sister texted me the other day, and she goes, "Hey, Mike, just to let you know, there's a serial killer in California." I'm like, "Oh, cool." She's like, "Weren't you just there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was. Why?" She goes, "Well, luckily you have nothing to worry about because he's only killing Spanish people."
Oh, shit.
For those who don't know, it's a joke because she's more Spanish than I am. Like, I'm Spanish, but I'm like a quarter, kind of. She's basically half.
Yeah, but you still have a Spanish last name.
Yeah, well, I always fuck with her. I'm like, well, at least I have the Spanish last name. You have a French last name.
Yeah, but that could be, well, yeah, it's still ethnic, though. It's some ethnicity.
The French are not ethnic. They're French.
No, I'm saying, like, I thought that could be, like Haitian, right? Or Creole, right?
Sure. Sure.
But she ethnicity shamed you, bro. That's fucked up, man. That's your sister, too. But it's okay. I have a half-brother and a half-sister that they might as well be my whole brother and whole sister. But, yeah, I get white shamed all the time from them, so.
White shamed? Well, you speak Arabic, right?
I speak more Arabic than they do. Well, actually, my brother speaks pretty decent Arabic. He actually speaks pretty good Arabic.
So, we're about to have a worldwide barbecue.
Oh, they're about to roast the planet, man. I mean, not even just Putin and fucking Ukraine. And like fucking Kim Jong-un is shooting rockets over fucking South Korea and shit. And now they're hitting land. They're not even hitting the ocean. He's doing tests, but they're actually, I guess shows of force. I guess.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Russia. I'm worried about Kim Jong-un doing something fucking stupid. And us going, well, fuck you, and attacking Kim Jong-un or retaliating against him. And then Russia going, well, you know what? Fuck you. And them jumping in. Now China jumps in. Then Taiwan's like, please don't hurt me.
It's the worldwide cookout, bro. Everybody's going to get fucking roasted. This is the thing. I'm less worried, even though obviously like Russia and the United States are really the two countries that have like the most, right? But I'm way more worried about fucking North Korea doing some stupid shit and getting froggy, you know what I mean? And then bringing China into something. Then, as much as there's been talk from the two world leaders, that being Putin and Biden, about the possibility of nuclear attacks or tactical nukes being used on the war front, I don't think it'll happen only because of the proximity to. It's like, listen, if we go to war with Canada or Mexico, right, and you're dropping nukes in Chihuahua, like Mexico, which isn't too far from our southern border, you don't want to destroy
the land you're trying to take over.
Fallout is a real thing.
You want its natural resources for yourself, so you don't want to make it impossible to gather them.
Yeah, the whole point of him taking over eastern Ukraine is to okay. Their logic is they want to like re-assimilate the Russian-speaking Ukrainians and make them Russian citizens, which I guess there are a population of Russian-speaking Ukrainians in that part of the world that want to become part of. I mean, I think the vast majority of Ukrainians, at least from what we see in the media, but who even knows what's the truth, want to still be sovereign, but there are people who want to defect. You know what I mean?
I don't think they care enough. I think they just want to live their
Maybe
lives.
Not. But even still, resources, right? So why are they going after it? They're going after Crimea because Crimea is like was always disputed over because it was like a strategic place for trade, right, and commerce. So why are you going to nuke a place that you need to use? Like, you wouldn't want to do that, right? So
Exactly.
Crimea is already theirs. The whole other territories that they're trying to take over for strategic purposes. Like, why would you destroy something that you're taking over? That's crazy, you know? North Korea, on the other hand, they are in a delusional state where they think like they're okay, and by destroying other people, it won't come back on them because they're living in the 1950s without the idea of consequence. You know? So I'd be more worried about that shit.
And the problem is China is like, well, North Korea is basically China's proxy. So if we do anything to North Korea, China will definitely get involved, and then that's a big freaking problem in my opinion.
That is a big fucking problem, yeah. And the thing is, like, it's also not far from Russian territory in the Far East. You know what I mean? Which is also a fucking problem too, because they have military presence there also. You know? Well, they had a whole bunch of people that don't want to get drafted by the Russian army that have been defecting into other countries, like Mongolia and a lot of like the former Soviet republics, like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and like all the Stan countries in Central
those
Asia.
countries are real?
Yeah, they're real.
No way.
Yeah, they're not made up by Borat. Like, they're real.
I thought they were made up by Borat and they were all part of Russia.
Sacha Baron Cohen just wrote it all as a comedy bit.
You didn't tell me they're not part of Russia?
It's like you thought they were like Mythos in Perfect Strangers, like that fake island that Balky was from, or like or the fake where's Doctor Doom from? Latveria or something.
Wait, that's not a real country?
That's not a real country either. And Sokovia from Age of Ultron is not a real country either.
No?
Yeah, it's not a real country.
Wow.
No.
I feel like I've been lied to my whole life.
Well, it's just fiction. Not really. Really, but you know what? Honestly, countries can change. If you look at it this way, at the world map right now, every named country, right, was named something else.
At one point in time.
At one point in time. So,
Istanbul.
Constantinople. Constantine named it Constantinople, and they renamed it Istanbul after it had been called Istanbul originally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
didn't the Muslims have to push out the Christians?
I don't think that's how it happened. That's how that happened. I think it's really like the
So
Roman
the Jews
Empire
is what
really
you're saying.
No. They all lived there. They all lived there during the Ottoman Empire as free citizens. But I think what happened was there was just the Roman Empire sort of dissolved, the Eastern Roman Empire, and then the Ottomans eventually took over, like the Byzantines that sort of dissolved, which was what Rome became, and then the Muslims took over when there was more Islamic influence in that part of the world.
Don't forget about the Crusades, too.
Well, that was even
after.
before that.
Well, that was after the Roman.
Constantine?
That was after the Roman Empire.
Yeah. That was after. Yeah, that was like in the year 1100 or something like that, or whatever.
We're probably completely wrong, so don't take anything we ever say 100%.
I'm not a history major.
We're not majors in anything except
we're majors in dipshit.
And
we're majors in dipshit.
Dipshittery,
Yeah,
right?
Fucking dipshit ship.
So, I guess I'll just go through some things. We'll go through this first. We'll present you with a share screen of some news I've been reading. Here's one.
And before the mass killing, after the mass killings of nuclear war, we can talk about the actual like psycho killers out there. Oh, Brittany
Like, let's
Griner.
be
Okay.
real. Let's be real. Look,
Yeah.
hold on. With the threat of nuclear war, no one gives a shit about a female basketball player.
Well, there were 2 dudes who were just released, I think, from Russian custody, right? That went there voluntarily to help the Ukrainians, 2 American citizens. There were 2 dudes that were just recently interviewed, and they were, like tortured, fucking, like they faked like they were gonna kill them. Yeah, Putin. Listen, I think every world leader could be labeled as guilty of some sort of like international crime by some like. So I don't think Putin's the craziest, because there was Hitler. Like Hitler was a thing, and there was like, there were other
Mussolini.
former Russian. There was Stalin. Stalin was probably a little worse than Putin.
Stalin killed millions.
Just in the last 100 years.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. Now look at it this way. You had other world leaders in the last 100 years that were way worse than Putin. Now, Putin, you could say, is arrogant. You know what I mean? You could say, like, yeah, he's responsible for deaths, right? Which most world leaders are responsible for a certain amount of dead people, right? Let's be honest. Even like let's just say, for example, you could be like, Trump's responsible for deaths, right? And then you could get somebody who's a Trumper who'd be like, who's he responsible for? Who's that? And I'd be like, well, he literally ordered a rocket to get shot at an Iranian general, and he fucking used a rocket to blow up one dude. You know what I mean? A little overkill.
Yeah,
pretty
but that
fucking
was
epic.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah, I know the guy was an asshole, but I'm saying, like, no matter what, if you're a world leader, you're gonna have somebody killed eventually. Like, Obama had Osama bin Laden killed. You know what I mean?
Allegedly.
But really, well, yeah, that's like that. Those pictures, the death photos before they put him out to the ocean, they were suspect, I guess, a little bit. Not to get into conspiracy theories or whatever, but I would have liked to have the body stateside. But they said they had to, by Islamic law, bury him at sea because they couldn't have him for too long. Whatever. Anyway, so no matter what, if you are a world leader, somebody has died on your clock, and more than likely has died because you said it was okay to have him killed. And I believe that about most billionaires. I believe every billionaire in the world has definitely had somebody killed. Not to incriminate us, Mike, but if we were billionaires, you wouldn't have a hit list?
No.
Come on.
I would stop caring about such things. Why would I care?
You would
care?
delegate the task to somebody else and have them deal with it.
Yeah, but it's whatever worth the effort at that point.
Well, I'm not defending criminals. I'm saying that they're still criminals.
Ryan, you're defending criminals, man.
I'm not defending criminals.
It's not good, bro.
What I'm saying is that anybody in power is going to be some sort of a power-hungry killer. There is no such thing as a world leader who is so benevolent that they actually care so much about human life that they will go lengths to preserve it.
And if there was, they wouldn't have stayed world leader for very long.
Anybody who is that righteous doesn't stay a leader for too long. That's a fact. Definitely not saying Putin's not guilty of the deaths of many of people, which he definitely is.
People have been poking. We've been poking the bear forever. And now everyone's surprised that the bear lashed out.
Is it a big Russian circus bear that does tricks, like walks like this and shit?
That's right. That's what's missing from the goddamn background picture. That's what's missing from the thumbnail is the Russian
Putin
joke
riding
bear.
a bear?
There's a picture of him riding a bear. That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But I'll tell you this. If Putin does start dropping nukes, then he's definitely jumped in the scale of psycho.
But here's the problem. No, but he's not going to be dropping nukes because they have hypersonic missiles. So it's going to hit us and we won't even know what fucking hit us.
So,
and you're kind of like in the area where no one gives a shit about. No one really cares about Florida. Putin doesn't care about Florida.
I don't know know about that.
No,
I think
I'm in
Florida
New
would
York.
get hit too.
I'm in New York.
Yeah, you're
I'm
at ground
fucked.
zero.
I'm
I
fucked.
know, you're at ground zero.
Like, my evacuation plan is fuck.
Florida would still catch it, I think.
No, you guys... Putin's gonna look at Florida and go, you know what? Let them live.
They got alligators. They're surrounded by dinosaurs.
And pythons.
Who will eventually...
Alligators and pythons.
And pythons. They will be eaten by reptiles eventually. Most of the population of Florida will end up in a dinosaur's mouth eventually after the nuclear holocaust. I mean, listen, I think like, if he does, he definitely jumps up in scale for psycho world leaders. But, you know what I mean? I think anybody who seeks power at some point, I think at some point, anybody with that much power will eventually let it get to their head. They'll reach such a state of delusion that they think that oh, there you go.
I like how his upper body doesn't move at all.
Because the Photoshop is a little stiff.
Yeah,
but,
well.
But it is pretty epic. There should be a radioactive sign on that, like branded on that bear's ass.
Putin riding a bear.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. To be serious, I think it's, pretty scary and stuff. I feel really bad for like the neighboring countries in Europe that would have to deal with that fucking aftermath. Because this is what's going to happen. If, let's just say, Putin and Zelensky get into a nuclear conflict, because I think Ukraine still has nukes too, right?
They do not.
No? Ukraine has no nukes?
Nope.
Okay. So let's just say Putin starts using tactical nukes on the battlefield, right? The amount of refugees who are going to flood into the neighboring countries are going to become unmanageable, and they're already at an unmanageable level now in countries like Romania, Poland, so on and so forth. There's people jumping the border all over the place from the Ukraine. So, you know what I mean? It's going to get crazy because people are just going to start really running. And what's sad is that there's people all right, I just heard a story today, serious story. Somebody trying to bring their family over, and one of the family members that they want to bring over, refugee status, paperwork's already filled out, has never been on a plane before, and is in ill health, and is afraid to get on the plane because of their ill health. And now with this talk of nuclear war, they're in a position where they're like choosing, like, I'd stay here and deal with this rather than get on a plane and risk my health. You know what I mean? So you get a lot of people who are stuck between a rock and a hard place that probably can't exactly escape even if they fucking start using suitcase bombs. You know what I mean? Which is probably most likely. There might not be a rocket situation. This could just be somebody with a suitcase and a tank leaving it in the middle of the city and then letting it rip, which is probably most likely because it's the cheapest way to use a nuke in that scenario. The hypersonic missiles are if they're trying to go intercontinental, you know what I mean, and use nukes that way, which they have missiles that have nuclear warheads that are for the smaller scale, which is still fucking nuts, dude, because they'll still fucking, like, volcano-sized explosions.
Russia hypersonic missiles that can reach the U.S.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
U.S. officials say that American hypersonic weapons, unlike those developed in Russia and China, are being designed to carry conventional rather than nuclear weapons.
That means just a regular payload, which is just like a regular ass rocket. But not to carry a nuclear warhead, but that's sort of fucking...
Russia's military says their range of the hypersonic missiles is 1,200 miles.
That's okay from Russia? Yeah, I guess.
How far is Russia from, let's see.
Is that from like a silo, or is that from like a submarine?
I think it's both. I think they can launch from submarines too.
So they could literally just take a submarine close to Alaska and fucking start nuking the West Coast if they want to.
Yeah, basically.
1,200 miles is like Seattle from there.
Yeah, basically.
You know. And if they're in the North Atlantic and international waters, they could hit New York City. You know, they could easily hit New York City. You got to look at it this way, right? You got the map up.
Well, luckily we have Japan as our ally, but if they come out here and say they're over here and they just say they managed to get, I mean,
well, what the fuck is Japan going to do? Throw VCRs at them? Like, what do they have?
VCRs and televisions. Wow.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
no, but look, they could take out fucking whatchamacallit with that. Hawaii. They wanted to.
Strategic military bases. Yeah, Hawaii, Guam, the Philippines. They could probably. But what I'm saying is, like, if they go up a little further north.
I've never even heard of these islands. What is this?
Dude, there's so many uninhabited islands in the South Pacific, just in Oceania. Dude, there's thousands and thousands of islands, dude, that are just scattered all over that part of the Pacific.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is what happens late night when you can't sleep. You just fall into these.
Oh, dude, I will go down a geographic rabbit hole all the fucking time. I went through one, which is like my favorite one, volcanoes, just around the world.
Oh, they're gonna kill us all one day.
Oh, they'll be. Listen, the biggest one is Yellowstone that you gotta fucking worry about, bro. That one is a continent killer.
Mm-hmm.
That one would. Okay, they said if Yellowstone erupts, and in spectacular fashion, like if it all blows in one shot, like a big giant mega eruption, that would bring the whole world into another ice age within 2 years. It would blot out the sun for sure, like immediately.
So Hawaii's not really alone. Well, they're alone out there, but there's also like, what's that? What is this? What is that? What is this?
Johnson Atoll? What is that? Is that like an airstrip just built in the middle of the ocean?
It's a nature preserve?
Wildlife
in the middle of the ocean?
Those are a little sus, right?
Yeah, for real.
Oh wait, look up Bikini Atoll, right? Where they did those nuclear tests back in the 50s. Yeah.
They blew crater under the ground from the nuclear blast.
Well, they blew up crazy nukes there, dude. They had like what they did, I think, was they staged like decommissioned naval vessels, and they blew up a nuclear bomb underwater, and the explosion was bigger than they thought it was going to be, and it literally wiped out everything. There's radioactive fallout on that island that'll be there for 1,000 years. I'm pretty sure.
Is that where they watched from?
I think so. That was like the bunker they used to take cover.
It's pretty.
Well, it is a tropical island, dude.
Thanks.
Tropical islands are beautiful places, but they decided to destroy this one with nukes. Yeah, there's like nuclear glass that washes up on that beach and shit like that, and like because like limestone and sand will just turn into glass immediately after a nuclear explosion. The heat is so immense. I think in like the Nevada desert, there's like patches of just like radioactive glass like all over the place where they did those nuclear tests back before fucking the Vietnam War. Yeah, I think that's the video, right?
That's what I'm looking for.
Is that the one with the ships? That is the one with the ships.
Were the ships too close?
I think they might have detonated it in a ship or directly underneath. No. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, I think so. Well, this may be from a different angle. The one that I saw was from like an airplane.
We're going to show it the right way so we can hear it as well. Shit, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Rendezvous for A-Day. Aboard the flagship Mount McKinley, Commander of Joint Army-Navy Task Force 1, Admiral William H. Blandy plans final
Don't you
descent.
love how like
The
upbeat
decks
and like
of the 73 test ships anchored in
Yeah,
Bikini
it's
Lagoon
crazy.
are scenes of feverish activity as scientists plot experimental programs. Secretary Forrestal tensely watches the atom plane's
Fucking
approach
nuclear
to Bikini
lamb chops,
and the
bro.
fateful $70 million test.
They drop it
On
from a
this
plane?
bombardier rests in large degree success
I
or
thought they
failure.
blew it up underwater.
Crew members are tense. Signals start.
No, this is pre Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This test.
Every eye in the observation fleet is trained on Dave's dream. The bombardier's
Because that
supreme
plane
test
looks
is
like
at hand
like
as the bomb
like
bay
you know
doors
like
open.
gay like the
Opening.
To protect their eyes against the flash which blotted out the morning sun, men are adequately prepared as HR approaches. Even with these goggles, they saw a stab of light as brilliant as lightning, while those without goggles turned their backs and shielded their eyes with their arms.
Wow.
The bomb is away. It's falling.
yeah. Just stand out there with no protective gear on. It seems
Seconds
legit.
tick away.
Suspense is killing me. That sound effect isn't real, by the way. You wouldn't hear it that quickly. You know that, right?
Up 7
No, you
miles into
wouldn't.
the sky, the awe-inspiring
You would still be
surges,
waiting.
blotting out
You would
the
still be
destruction
waiting.
below.
You would
There
still
is
be
no
waiting,
earthquake,
and then you
no
would feel the
tidal
shock
wave
wave.
or other catastrophe to justify the fears of some. And while some observers felt that the bikini
Yeah, but
bomb
there's
was
still
less powerful
there's
than
still
its
such a displacement of air, right? That doesn't like you would see the flash first, right? But you won't hear the explosion when you see the flash. Like this is all propaganda from, you know,
Big
from
brother.
the, you know,
Big
yeah.
brother.
But you would literally hear like okay, like if you've ever seen a volcano explode like on a YouTube video, you see the boom, you see a shock in the clouds, and then about 7 or 8 seconds later you hear boom boom or boom, like a sonic boom, and that's what you hear. You don't hear like you don't hear all that shit. You might hear a rumble in the distance.
Well, how many atomic bombs have you heard? Huh?
It's just the science of how a blast works, dude. You know, it's like when you see a lightning strike and then you hear it 7 seconds
I
later.
understand.
Toward zero time.
Well, if it's that powerful.
30 seconds.
It
30
won't.
seconds.
Speed of sound is still the speed of sound. Mike.
Is this real?
3, 2, 1. H minus
This
1
looks fake.
minute.
Look
Put
at
on
that.
goggles or turn away. Do not remove goggles or face burst until fireball dissipates.
Yeah, this is very moon landing ish.
30 seconds to 0.
This one's in the
time.
desert though, right?
10,
Yeah.
This is a Nevada test.
8, 7, 6, 5, forward, 3, 2.
I shot a film in the desert near there. Oh,
This is
my
more accurate.
God.
This is more accurate. Now the flash goes away, and then
Shockwave will arrive shortly.
See?
you see.
Footing until wave passes.
There it is.
There you go. I told you, dude. That's what happens. But you know, like they did it on a clear day, so you don't see displacement in the clouds. But if there was like semi-overcast, you would see a ripple in the clouds. And then you hear it like 7, 8 seconds later, depending on how far away you are. Obviously, the further you are away, the longer it will take for it to
Sometimes
get
the
to you.
noise of news reporting can numb the significance of a story.
These weapons.
If you measure the shockwave radius and you're off by 1%, you will be off by 5% in the yield.
So Spriggs said
Smells like vinegar. It does.
digital file.
Here, we're able to analyze all the fireball films in an automated way.
Digital technology allowed Spriggs to analyze the
Stupid.
film.
What smells like vinegar? What was that about? I'm intrigued. Does nuclear fallout smell like vinegar? Is that what he meant, or has he like smelled like depleted uranium or something, or like just like sniffed it a little bit? Did he like cut up a line of like
No,
uranium or
find it.
plutonium and
Measure the
snort it?
cloud from one. And then there is the mushroom-shaped cloud, which climbs into the skies.
There you go. That's the one that I saw with the ships. They blew that one up underwater. You see all that water that just got thrown up and vaporized?
Using a computer to measure the cloud from one blast,
That's the Bikini
Spriggs
Atoll.
discovered the original calculations made 50 years ago were off by a full mile.
Instead of 35,000 feet, it was something like 40,000 feet, and it was because of the way they measured it.
That made him wonder if calculations from all the other blasts were wrong as well. It
Melt.
was more than just academic curiosity. Those calculations
Sorta looks like
were
ice
used
cream.
to predict the performance,
Ice
what
cream of
Spriggs
death.
calls the yield of today's weapons.
If you measure the shockwave radius and you're off by 1%, you will be off by 5% in the yield.
So Spriggs set out to reanalyze and then release to the public the estimated 9,000 rolls
Where's
of
the
film
vinegar
that had been
part?
shot.
I don't know. Those guys look like really fucking close to a nuclear fucking explosion.
Birthplace of the atom bomb.
I want to know how many of those motherfuckers got cancer. That's what I want to know.
Scientific
Well,
treasure trove
fucking
left
John
in
Wayne got
Japan.
cancer just for
I've had a
working in that
challenge with
area.
Some cans, just getting the can open.
Jim Moy is one of this
No, but
country's
John Wayne
foremost
also
film
fucking, like,
preservationists.
wasn't the healthiest fucking guy on the planet.
Look, it wasn't the chain smoking and alcoholism. It was shooting in White Sands, New Mexico.
And 2 steaks a day for fucking 40 years of his life.
I want to first, once I open a can, determine the condition of the film. And one way is by smell.
See?
Because
There it
any
is.
acetate-based film, as the base
It deteriorates.
that carries the image starts to decay, it will put off an odor, which is called vinegar syndrome.
Smells like vinegar.
It does, exactly.
See?
It sounds like
There's your
basically
answer.
it's a race against time.
It really,
Some of the film using a scanner to
That's
convert
all old
each
film. All old film will eventually decay. That's why it's like,
the best they could do in the 50s.
It's
Hard
like important
drives
to,
are
like-
better, but hard drives crash. It's like you can't win.
yeah, but you got to keep transferring it to something, you know, or having multiple copies that are preserved.
Nuclear
you know what I
weapons
mean?
are a terrifying force of mankind.
Thank you.
But thanks to recently released footage, we now get a new insight into the terrifying power. Our 5 are scary. Nuclear weapons are as awe-inspiring as they are scary. A tiny percentage of the nukes we have on hand. It is a tremendous power we hardly understood at the time. And if you ask the right conspiracy theorists,
That one was
they're
blown
the
up
reason
underground.
aliens are suddenly interested in our little planet. Between 1945 and
That's
1992,
underwater.
the U.S. conducted 1,032 nuclear tests. 35 of those tests came from Operation Hardtack, conducted in 1958 between April 28th and August 18th. The blasts went off in the Pacific Ocean, in an area aptly named
Marshall
the
Islands.
Pacific Proving Grounds. One of those blasts, codenamed Juniper, made its way out of classified archives and into the public sphere. Now, most of these nuclear blast videos have 2 things in common. They don't come with any sound, and they all start with a bright white light. If you ever manage to talk with someone who has witnessed a nuclear blast, they usually mention that same light, followed by a powerful shockwave.
Like
Juniper
Terminator
went
2.
off on July 22nd of 1958. 1 second, it's sitting on a barge in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The next, it's a 40,000-foot mushroom cloud looming overhead.
Jesus.
The blast was equal
Damn.
to 65 kilotons of TNT. To put that into perspective, 1 kiloton of TNT equals the explosive force of 1,000 tons of TNT. So, 65 kilotons equals 65,000 tons of TNT going off at once, which is a lot, but not nearly the biggest ever recorded.
Nope.
The
That
Tsar
one
bomb is
is
the
up
biggest one,
next.
right? The Russian Tsar
Let's see
bomb.
right now. Well, that's, I don't know if that was ever
When
tested,
most
though.
people think of nuclear weapons, the first
Oh,
question
American
they
test.
ask is
Yeah.
why? Why does anything need to have that level of devastating potential?
Why not?
If you ask the average
'Cause
U.S. citizen
America.
during the Cold War, they'd point at Russia. And if you ask the average USSR citizen, they'd point at the U.S.
Yep.
After all, the U.S.
And that's from decades ago, and now it's still going on.
is
yeah,
still
it's-
the only country to use an atomic weapon on another nation. Hopefully, the last, too. Still,
Wow.
the Cold War ramped up
When did this
nuclear
come out?
programs between the two superpowers.
So this is the Cold War
While
part
the
two,
U.S.
right?
did more building and testing, the
Pretty
USSR
much.
set the record for biggest boom. The
Yeah,
Tsar
see?
Bomba, also known
Tsar
as
Bomba.
Ivan or Vanya, is the biggest weapon ever detonated in human history.
A hydrogen
Clocking in
bomb, I
at
think.
50 megatons, it was 3,300 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Recently declassified footage shows the test in never-before-seen clarity.
Программный автомат принял сигнал сброс и выдает команды запуска.
Yeah, but wouldn't that go into the air and create a giant fallout across miles upon miles?
Well, they
and
did it in the
miles?
middle of Siberia. They did it in the middle of nowhere. Like there's nothing. It's, you know, so primitive, right?
Бомба
Like just
приближается
like
к точке взрыва. Высота
Бомба.
4000 метров. Осталось 3 секунды.
and they blew it up in midair. They didn't blow it up in the ground. They blew it up above. Yeah. Whoa.
Взрыв сопровождался световой вспышкой необычной силы. В этот момент самолет-носитель находился в 45 километрах от места сброса. Вспышка и последующее свечение, несмотря на сплошную облачность, были видны в радиусе до 1000 километров.
You also got to understand where they did this testing. They did it. Okay, you remember that where that meteor struck in fucking in the middle of Siberia? There was no. It didn't affect anybody because of how far away from
Через
civilization it
несколько
was.
секунд после взрыва диаметр пылевого столба составлял около 10 километров.
According to our Russian narrator, the pilot was already 45 kilometers away from the blast, and still, his cockpit filled with bright light. A bone-chilling orange hue paints across the countryside, and we finally hear the sound of the blast. A cloud stretches high into the air, and at first, you don't think it's that bad. Then, you notice the blast radius closer to the ground. According to our Russian friend, the diameter of the dust column alone is 10 kilometers wide. So how powerful was the biggest explosion of all time? The Tsar Bomba put out 50 megatons of explosive power, making the 65 kiloton Juniper bomb look like a sparking power outlet. 1 megaton equals 1,000 kilotons of TNT. So, the Tsar Bomba blew up with the force of 50,000 kilotons or 50 million tons of TNT. The flare, or the bright white light we keep seeing, was visible from Norway, Alaska, and Greenland.
Wow.
The scary part is, the Tsar Bomba was supposed to be twice as big. However, instead of detonating at 100 megatons, they opted for 50. The reason being, the pilot wouldn't have been able to escape.
So they have something bigger than that, and that was the biggest.
Now, when you think of Nevada,
Jesus.
a few things must come to mind. Las Vegas, Area 51, and all those nuclear explosions out in the desert. But the US wasn't just blowing things up for the sake of blowing things up. The government ran many testing operations to learn everything about nuclear weapons. How big can we make them? How much damage will they do? Can we use them in tandem with troops on the ground? Enter Operation Teapot. Teapot consisted of 14 nuclear tests at the Nevada test site, also known as the Nevada Proving Grounds. The Proving Grounds cover 1,360 square miles of mountains and desert, perfect for testing nuclear weapons without hurting a fly. Nuclear blasts on their own look scary enough. Then, you see videos of the damage they can really inflict, and they become pure nightmare fuel. Perhaps you've seen footage of fake houses being obliterated by nuclear blasts. Operation Teapot, particularly an experiment codenamed Apple II, did just that. During Apple II, researchers constructed several buildings, including residential houses and electrical substations. Some called the site Survival Town. Others called it Doom Town. Call of Duty fans simply call it Nuketown. Not all of the Doomtown buildings got blown away in the experiments. In fact, you can visit those that still stand while on the Nevada National Security Site tour.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Between 1945 and 1963, world superpowers casually dropped nukes in the most remote areas of their countries to see who could build the biggest, baddest atomic bomb. They tried all kinds of methods to measure the explosive force of their weapons. They dropped them out of planes, sent them out on ships, and buried them deep underground. Nobody seemed to care about the unknown consequences of nuclear fallout. Then, in 1963, 2 years after Russia set the biggest boom record with the Tsar Bomba, the major nuclear powers signed the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which restricted atomic testing to underground explosions. Still, Operation Nougat, detonating an underground thermonuclear weapon called Danny Boy, yielded impressive results.
Of course it did.
The
It's
operation
underground, so
ran
it's
from
carried to ground.
1961 to 1962. And this recently declassified video shows the size of the blast on an unassuming desert landscape. Our aerial cameraman got a clear shot of Danny Boy erupting out of the ground,
Underground
sending
nukes, look at that.
cascades of rock and debris flying
They
in
put it
every
underground.
direction.
Yeah, that's
However,
sort of what I was talking
Danny
about
Boy
before.
was a
They
drop
started,
in the bucket
like,
compared
they
to
started,
other
like,
tests
testing them
during
underground.
Operation Nougat. Danny was only a 430-ton explosion, whereas
Operation
China,
Nougat.
mink, and platypus got up to 20
Platypus.
kilotons. So what happens when you detonate a nuke underground? First, nuclear energy releases in 1 microsecond, which is 1/1,000,000th of a second. The blast immediately vaporizes any test equipment and nearby rocks, reaching a temperature of a few million degrees. In mere milliseconds, the blast melts away the next layer of rock, forming what's called a melt cavity. Finally,
nuclear
the
glass.
blast reaches the surface, resulting in the massive mushroom cloud we all know and love.
You know what my favorite video is? My favorite fucking nuclear video?
We can all be thankful that
What?
There is one that has all of the nuclear tests in a time lapse and a map. So like the video is, there's a map of the world, and it starts from like 1944 or something like that. Like before the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, right? And it shows you every single one. And at one point, between like 1954 and like 1960 something, sticky icky icky. What's that one called?
Grapes and cream.
Nice.
It's very nice.
So, and it just, the whole fucking, the whole screen between the South Pacific and Nevada just lights up, and then you start seeing it happen in Russia from like 1950 something all the way into the 70s. And then eventually there was some sort of like a nuclear test, like accord. And like they ceased nuclear testing, but then you start seeing like India and Pakistan testing weapons, and then France, and then England, and all over the world, testing it all over the place. China, a couple of them, and then Russia a whole bunch of times before the fall of like the fall of the Berlin Wall.
The fall of the Soviet Union.
Soviet Union, yeah.
Well, no, well, maybe
The Berlin Wall fell in like 89, so it was like up until like 1987 they were still doing nuclear testing and shit like that. And it's interesting. It's crazy because the United States tested the most. Like we did fucking crazy nuclear testing for like a country that, you know, talks shit about other people, you know, and the possibility of them using nukes. We definitely detonated the most nuclear bombs on the planet.
And
You know
we're
what?
also the only country to use one or two, better yet, use
Yeah,
them.
in the theater of war, yes. Well, yeah. I mean, I think people have used nuclear weapons. Now, when somebody says a nuclear weapon, right? If I have a uranium blade and I stab you with it, isn't
My
that
eyes
using a
just
nuclear
hurt so
weapon?
bad. My eyes rolled in the rolled at you, and it hurt so bad. That's how bad the eye roll was.
Well, what I'm saying is
Oh
that
my God.
they use like uranium in other weapons. They don't just make bombs out
No,
of
they have rifles with uranium tips.
Yes, with bullets with uranium tips. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, not rifles, you're right, bullets, but yes.
yeah, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Or they have like tank ammo. You know what I mean? Like 16-pound fucking rounds with depleted uranium.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the thing is, like, these laws are so that you don't use any weapons with fucking uranium in it. I think so. It's not just excluding bombs. It's all of nuclear weapons. Now, I don't know what kind of damage a fucking nuclear bullet does, or like what the purpose of something like that would be. You know, if you shoot an individual with a nuclear bullet, like, are you giving them cancer? Like, they're gonna die from the bullet. Like, what's the purpose of it? It's like a little overkill. You know? But then again, who the fuck am I? I'm not a side.
What is depleted uranium? Are you frozen or you don't know? I think you froze.
Did I freeze or did you freeze?
I think you froze.
I froze? Again?
You were like this.
Okay.
What is depleted uranium?
Alright, I tried to hold it. I mean, it's uranium that was used, I think, in a nuclear
Depleted
generator.
uranium is used for tank armor, armor-piercing bullets, and weights to help balance aircrafts. Okay, but why?
Yeah, but they could make bombs out of that shit too, right? Or no? Like, what does the armor do? Like, okay, let's just say if I'm a soldier and I'm in a tank, and depleted uranium is used for the armor, am I in danger from radiation poisoning? Or is it
you are. It has very low levels, but it still has some.
Like radium, like those, like Mary Curie, didn't she like die of like mouth cancer or something like that?
I don't know.
Because of radium? Madame Curie? Mary Curie, what's her name? Madame Curie? The fucking scientist lady from 100 years ago?
Polish-French physicist.
Yeah, but she died, right? From radiation poisoning?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she like discovered radium or some shit like that.
Let's see. Death. She visited Poland in 1934. A few months later, she died at age 66 from a plastic anemia believed to have been contracted from a long-term exposure to radiation, causing damage to her bone marrow.
Bone marrow.
The
She died from
damage in
radiation
the
poisoning.
blah 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 blah. Yeah, basically.
That's it. Radiation's bad. Nobody should use radiation for anything. Unless it's for powering a nuclear power plant, which I believe is probably the safest way to create energy, you know.
Wow. Because of their levels of radioactive contamination, her papers from the 1890s are considered too dangerous to handle. She was around so much uranium that the stuff she used to log notes on
are radioactive. Yeah, but do they still have them?
Her papers are kept in lead-lined boxes, and those who wish to consult them must wear protective clothing. Wow.
Yeah, but they had to have copied that onto something else, right? Somebody's had to have copied it onto regular paper, you know? But then is that regular paper contaminated from radioactive poisoning? Being transferred over to it?
I doubt it.
No, probably not, right? It's probably only dangerous to living cells at that point. But yeah, I mean, listen, radiation's really fucking bad, dude.
Yep, and nuclear war is terrible.
What if you have a serial killer who uses radiation to kill people? That should be on the next Law and Order, right? Or like,
I mean, why? Like, that's a slow, painful death.
what if they use radioactive bullets?
They chain you to a basement, and the chains they use are radioactive, so it slowly cooks your insides.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you have, like, serial killers, like the BTK killer used to like to torture his fucking victims and shit like that, you know? You could slowly poison somebody with radiation. But it seems like too much of a hassle, right? That's too slow. There's so much effort that has to go into it.
The next episode we do on this topic should be called Depleted Uranium Butt Plugs.
Ooh.
Depleted
I like that.
Uranium
butt plugs. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. The radioactive butt plugs sound like a punk band. That sounds like the name of a punk band.
It does. Radioactive butt plugs.
So it'd be just the logo is just a glowing green butt plug?
How do you spell uranium? It's right in front of me. It's right in front of me. Uranium. Depleted uranium butt plugs. I just wrote that to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different places. 8 different places. So we won't forget. Sex and the City is still on in the background.
You put the toilet paper roll upside down.
I did not put the toilet paper roll upside down. That's how the toilet paper roll goes. Okay, hold on. Give me the toilet paper roll. Give me the toilet paper roll. Give me the toilet paper roll. Nope, stop it. Nope, give me.
Are you an under or a top?
Okay, so here's the wall, right? This is how I don't think it goes. I think it goes like this.
No, it goes the other way.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it goes the other way.
No, it does not go like this.
It goes that way.
It does not go like this.
Top down. You go like this.
But you can't see if there's a spider hiding under here or something, you know?
Why would you have a spider in the toilet paper?
Because there's spiders everywhere in this house.
Listen, number one, when you sleep, spiders crawl up your asshole like 10
I don't
years.
think spiders crawl up your asshole.
While you're
You
sleeping.
by the way, when you sleep, spiders crawl up your asshole. Probably in your nose.
You eat 10 spiders a year. How many spiders do you think your butt eats
I don't think you eat 10 spiders a year. I think you eat like 10 over your lifetime.
There's a spider right now creating a web in your colon.
There's no spider in my colon.
It's a statistical fact. It's a statistical fact. You shit out a spider a day or 2 spiders a day.
A dead spider.
Yeah, you evict 2 living spiders.
I evict 2 living spiders.
Yo, speaking about spiders, down here, I guess because like Florida's like the land of the invasive species because we got like fucking Burmese pythons.
First off, Florida is the Australia of America.
It is the Australia of America for sure.
But so's Nevada, you know.
Yeah, depending on what part of Australia you're in. If you're in like the rainforest, sort of swampy, like we got crocodiles still in Florida. Also alligators, but crocodiles that live way down south, a little further south than me, and I'm pretty far down south. There are banana spiders that come from South America that are here just because of like trade and people growing bananas down here that are fucking huge, dude. They're not tarantulas. They are spiders that are like that big. Straight up. And they just chill. They usually hang out by banana plants, and everybody's got, like I have 2 banana trees in my backyard. But they are fucking everywhere. They hide between trees, and dude, those motherfuckers. That guy right in the middle, banana spider. Yeah, dude, they're everywhere,
That freaking thing. That's a big...
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're like that, bro. They're like fucking crazy. And they just chill. Dude, they don't move for nothing. You cut down their web, they build another web 5 seconds later that's just like a fucking apartment complex. And sometimes there are other little banana spiders like living there, and I think they get territorial and they kill each other. Like the big one will go after the little ones. Nasty motherfuckers, bro. If you don't like spiders, tropical climate is not where you should be living.
I'm not afraid of spiders.
I don't mind them so much.
I try not to kill spiders. I try to let them go.
Let them eat all the rest of the vermin that are around.
Eat all those roaches and water bugs and...
Yeah, a spider that big could probably take down a mouse, bro.
Good.
I'm sure.
Look at that.
Look how big that motherfucker is. I told you, bro. They are fucking big. They're big. And their tail's sort of like the way that they're...
But it still can get squished in the palm of your hand.
Yes. But do you want to be handling it? Do you want to crunch that in your hand?
If I had no choice, yes.
Yes. If you have the adrenaline's pumping, you're going to, right? But if you're just like, la da da, and you see this, you're like, ah!
Like, I used to watch, remember the movie Arachnophobia? Remember both of them?
Yeah, with John Goodman. Yeah.
Well, there's 2 of them. There's a remake. That's a remake.
I didn't see, the original one's in black and white?
I think so.
Yeah, I may have seen it, like, like when I was like in high school. But I remember the one with I think Jeff Daniels and John Goodman, right? The guy from Dumb and Dumber, yeah.
Yes, that was a good movie.
That was good. I liked it. John Goodman was the exterminator, right?
Yeah.
He was classic John Goodman.
The original is.
If you liked him from
that
Big
is the
Lebowski.
original? Wow, that is the original?
It is the original. Did they make a remake recent? No, yeah, 1990. Yeah, Arachnophobia was good. Funny. If you like him in Big Lebowski, John Goodman, you'll like him in this movie because he was just that kind of like John Goodman. John Goodman was just being John Goodman.
It was a good movie.
I can't really explain it other ways. Good movie. Good fucking movie. If you're afraid of spiders, don't watch it.
It never
if you're afraid of
bothered me.
spiders, well, it never bothered me either.
I know people who are afraid of birds.
I was never too fond of pigeons in New York. I don't mind them down here in Fort Lauderdale. Like, there's a pigeon population. I really don't care too much. But in New York, I used to skeeve the shit out of them. Like, they just felt like flying fucking rats. And they were flying rats. They were diseased. What happened? You turn the volume off? For all the people who are afraid of spiders out there.
Well, anyway, thank you for watching the Dumbfounded Dishes podcast.
Maybe we get to talk about serial killers on Wednesday.
Oh, you want to talk
I'm good
about
for
serial
Wednesday
killers?
night. I promise you. I have nothing going on. So.
But you want to talk about serial killers?
And radioactive butt plugs.
Well, that's a future episode.
Oh,
it doesn't have to be Wednesday. It could be the next time we talk about the nuclear war.
Sure. Which will be soon because the war is imminent.
Yes. Well, it's not nuclear yet, but it's going on currently.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to talk about serial killers, we could talk about some serial killers.
Yeah. I do.
Everyone, have a good night. Like, subscribe, check us out on all our platforms. Follow us on all our platforms, and have a good night.